What's up everybody, Super WX fan here for another car review. This is of course the 2010 Audi S4, and this is the Prestige version, which comes with the upgraded 19-inch rims and the navigation, the Bang & Olufsen sound system. So this is a pretty much fully loaded 2010 S4. Now this is the first year of this new S4, and everyone was nervous because they were getting rid of the beloved V8 engine in exchange for this V6 with a supercharger. So, is this more fun or less fun than the V8 version? And once again, many thanks to Harrison Auto Sales for hooking me up with this awesome car to review for you guys today. So about the S4, well, this design's been around for quite a few years now, and it still looks amazing to me. I mean, the daytime running lights up front always look spectacular coming down the road. You have, you know, the awesome proportions. I love how low the side skirts are. This car just has a very low stance while still having good ground clearance. You know, I love the little metallic accents on the mirrors and, you know, the trim that goes along the windows and everything. This car it looks very understated, aggressive, and I love the way these look. I think they aged really well. It still looks fantastic to this day. Right, so for the interior of this car, I really like it a lot. It's actually a little bit more snug in here than you might expect. The dash on the passenger side is about as long as my forearm, so not a whole lot of space here, but it doesn't feel too tight. It just feels nice and snug and comfortable. There's still plenty of room in here. I have, you know, plenty of elbow room. It's very spacious and everything. I have no complaints about the size of it. To me, it fits me just perfectly. If you're a larger person, like over 6 feet, this might feel a little cramped for you, but for me, I adore it. Being 5'9", thinner guy, I love it. Speaking of my size, these seats, they have just enough bolstering to make me feel nice and snug, but it has a little bit of space that, you know, wider people can also feel comfortable, but these seats just have great support. I really like the way they feel. They're spectacular. As far as like storage capacity goes in this car, you have, you know, a little center console here. You have your another little thing here to put your phone or something, but this car has nice big door pockets where you can fit lots of stuff in there too. So it's great for that. This steering wheel is amazing. I love it. So it has great notches, you know, for your thumbs right at the 9 and 3 position. That it feels great. The 10 and 2 has the nice big notches if you like driving like that. And then you have this wonderful, very pronounced stitching on the inside of the wheel rim here, and it just feels great to have your fingers on that while you're steering. This is probably one of the most enjoyable steering wheels I've used in recent memory. It's really spectacular, and the driving position overall for this car is just spectacular. I mean, you have a great view out. I mean, you have great visibility. I love the way I feel going down the road in this car. So as far as this center console is concerned, we have a good amount of buttons here, but I wouldn't consider it cluttered. Everything's very logically collected. So you have, you know, your air controls up here on the front of the display, but then you have all your audio and navigation, all that kind of stuff is all right by the shifter. And I think that's actually rather ingenious, especially whenever you have a manual transmission car like this. You have your engine stop start button right there. You have your parking brake button right there. The volume knob is literally like within a few millimeters of the shifter. So, you know, you're resting your hand over here anyway. Whenever you aren't shifting, you're just going to be resting it on this centerpiece. And so the volume knob is perfectly placed. You can constantly play with the volume if you want. You have the MMI controller here that's perfectly placed. It's just, I love the way they did this. I wish more manufacturers had the volume knob and all that right by the gear shifter. I think that's just spectacular. I always love that about these newer Audis. And everything in here just kind of has an aura of quality to it. You know, all the buttons and everything feel pretty solid. It's a huge leap up from the previous generation Audis that had Volkswagen plastics that just drove me nuts. This car has, everything's very solid, well put together. There's no squeaks or rattles really here. The gauges are very nice as well. You have very clear, attractive looking gauges in this car. Nice little color display in the middle to give you whatever kind of information you're interested in. And this actually has a Bang & Olufsen system, since this is the Prestige version, and the Bang & Olufsen system is pretty good. Now, I don't think it doesn't hold a candle to the awesome Meridian sound system in the Range Rover Evoque that I reviewed, but this is pretty good too. I mean, it's not bad. Bang & Olufsen are right up there with Meridian as far as quality sound systems. I mean, this being an S4, it's not going to be as nice as like an S8 Bang & Olufsen system, but this is still a really nice sounding system. I can't complain about that one bit. And as well, the graphics for the navigation system are very clear. and everything is very attractive. This is just a wonderful place to spend time. Rear seat room in this car is pretty decent too. I mean, you know, since I'm on the shorter side, I have my seat up a little farther, but there's plenty of room back there. You can fit 4 adults in here. You have these red inserts on the seats, which is an option, and I think it really livens up this interior, because these interiors can get a bit dark and drab if you don't have any color in them. And if this whole thing was black, I feel like it wouldn't be quite as attractive. But with these red accents, I think it really sets it off nicely with the gray paint on the outside, with the red interior. Always a good combination in my opinion. So yeah, let's take it for a drive and see how it does. So this car is completely stock, which means stock exhaust, which means quiet. So, you know, it's not very lively as far as sounds go in here. You have a little bit of induction noise and supercharger whine, but it's very, very faint. You might be able to pick it up on camera when I'm driving here in a minute. But, yeah, you know, obviously you could put an exhaust on this car and it would sound amazing. There's lots of good options out for this car, but this one as it is, it just doesn't involve you a whole lot as far as sound's concerned, but it's a stock car. I can't really expect it to sound as loud as a Jag. All car companies can't be as awesome as Jag and fit these extremely loud exhaust systems to their cars. All right, so hop on this back road and yeah, by the way, this car is fast, in case you didn't know. So let's talk about that previous V8. The V8 before actually had less torque than this car. This car has 25 more foot-pounds of torque, and this car is down on horsepower just slightly from the previous V8, but this car still has 333 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds of torque, which is really impressive in this car. I don't know. This is just, it feels so torquey. It feels even more torquey than 325 foot-pounds, to be honest. This car just goes. It's just amazing. It just, boom, just puts you right back in your seat. It's just really gratifying to have that torque right there. And this is the manual transmission, which doesn't even exaggerate it as much as the dual clutch does. You can get a dual clutch in this car, and I've driven the dual clutch version of this car on many occasions, and that is just bang, bang, bang in gear, and that torque just does not relent. That supercharger is just pouring on the torque. It's spectacular. I love it. This manual, you know, it's not quite as intense because this car has really long throws on the shifter, and the clutch throw is long as well, so it's a little bit more delayed. Yeah, but let's go around this corner here, and it's so flat. It feels so good. This car handles like nothing else. It's really good. I mean, it's almost as good as the Porsche that I drove, I think. It's really that good. Yeah. This car is fast. It's very, very fast. And it is just thrilling. Yes, you don't have the awesome growl of a V8 in front of you like you normally do, but it just feels amazing. It's just, you can't deny the G-forces that this car puts out. It's just, oh man, is it fun to just go full throttle in this car. But yeah, those are my first few impressions, but I'm gonna drive this car for a while longer and get a better feel for what it's like to drive over a longer period of time, and I'll come back and let you know my updated impressions. So I've been driving this car for a while now, and I really like this car. I mean, honestly, if I was looking for a 4-door car that could go anywhere, you know, all-wheel drive, snow, roomy enough for anything I could ever need it for, and I mean, it just feels so good to drive. I love this car. This would be at the top of my list if I was looking for a luxurious 4-door car. I mean, because there's no competition for this, really. I mean, I guess you could say a 335 with X-Drive would maybe be, you know, competition, but I like this way better than I do the 335 myself. But yeah, that's about it, because I mean, this is just, the refinement, the luxury is miles ahead of the Evo or the STI, so you can't even begin to compare it with that. I think this is even nicer than the Volkswagen R32 or, you know, the Golf R, and you know, this is just, it's a beautiful looking sedan. It just rides beautifully. I love it. But the biggest thing that I want to talk about in this car that's really jumped out at me while I've been driving it for the past couple of hours now is the steering. This car has really, really sharp steering. The steering feel is so good. I mean, and the road feel is so good. I mean, you could blindfold me and I'd be able to tell you exactly what we're driving over. Like, it's really that impressive. I think if you wanted better road feel, you would have to open up the door and drag your hand across the ground. I mean, this is about as good as it gets. I've never felt steering that was this communicative. It's just, it tells you everything that's going on, and it's amazing. But there's a fault with it. It has a lot of vibration in it. So whenever you've been driving for a while, if you're not on pristinely smooth roads, it vibrates a lot. And I mean, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but it almost feels like I'm resting my hands on a washing machine instead of a steering wheel. It's just vibrating. And I mean, it's not overly annoying, but I just noticed it while I've been keeping my hands on this wheel for well over an hour straight, just driving. And I mean, your hands, it's constant vibration, constant stimulus. And it's, that you might really love that. I think if I was driving this car every day, that might get old after a while if I wasn't always on really nice roads. But the steering is just unrivaled. I can't think of another car that has a better steering rack that I like. It's just spectacular. Yes, it beats the BRZ and anything else that I've driven. I mean, it's just, the steering is so sharp and tells you exactly what's going on. So that's the big thing. And although the steering vibrates a lot and stuff, the ride in here is very smooth and compliant. It's just firm enough to feel sporty and agile, like you can, point and shoot and it'll go wherever you want it to go with little body roll or anything like that. But it's just, it's still very comfortable. It's very worthy of a luxury car. And this has configurable modes, or you can put it in dynamic or comfort. That mostly changes just how heavy the steering is. The steering is a tad bit on the heavy side in automatic mode for what I would expect from an Audi. And because of that extra heaviness, it feels a little artificial at times, but it's not bad. And if you wanted to lighten up the steering, just throw it in comfort mode, and the throttle response gets a little bit slower and things like that in comfort mode, but it's really still excellent. I could drive this car in comfort mode no problem all the time. But the auto mode's great. The dynamic mode kicks it up a notch and makes the steering even heavier. Honestly, I don't find dynamic mode to be too enjoyable for normal daily driving. If I was just focusing on just carving up back roads and nothing else, then I could probably appreciate the dynamic mode, but I think it's a tad bit too heavy for what I would like personally. So those are the only other two things. Otherwise, I mean, the power is great in this car. That doesn't get old. Obviously, I wish this car had more sound to it, because I mean, there'll be times if I just have the radio up a little bit, I don't even realize that I should upshift another gear unless I'm staring at the tachometer, because you just have no idea what the engine's doing unless you're staring at this talk. Otherwise, it's just anyone's guess as to what's going on, because it's kind of disconnected, and that's something that you definitely lost. The V8, it lets you know what it was doing. This motor, it's whisper quiet, and so yeah, that's something I miss. But obviously, you put an exhaust system on this, that'll fix itself in no time. So that's really the only thing. Put an exhaust on one of these and I would be in heaven. This would be a great daily driver. Like I said in the very beginning, I think personally, for the kind of car this is, being a luxurious car, I would probably opt for the dual clutch myself, even though you guys know how much I love manuals, and I'm not going to rip on this manual. It actually got better the more I drove it. It's not as precise as some other gearboxes that I've used, but it's still precise enough that it's gratifying to use. The throws are a little bit on the long side, but they're not super long, and it's something that you could definitely shorten up if you wanted with the aftermarket. The clutch travel is a little bit longer than I would like, but again, that's something you could work through. It's not the end of the world. But for a daily driver, I think the dual clutch you can get with this car is just so good. And being a luxurious car that it is and stuff, I would just rather have the dual clutch over the manual myself in this specific car. But it's either way, you can't lose. It's great fun, and I'd be perfectly content driving a manual transmission version of this every day as well, because it's really a fantastic car. So once again, big thanks to Harrison Auto Sales for hooking me up with this car to review. This car is available on their site right now, so if you're interested in this car, don't waste any time and check out the link below. I'll provide in the description, and you can give them a call and come check this car out and grab it while it's still there. So yeah, it's a spectacular car, and I really enjoy driving it. So yeah, thanks for watching the review. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Take care.